These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. How the fuck's that even happen? They're two grown men on a mission now, so buckle up and just strap in.
They looking for nothing but a good time, and it don't get better than this.
These two grown men had never seen The Simpsons. It's America's barley basket.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 10 of America's Barley Basket. I am your host, Nathan Fulsebuck, and sitting beside me virtually is my wonderful co-host, Marlin Wells.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Marlin.
How are you?
Even though the miles separate us, due to the wonders of technology, it feels like you're right beside me.
The internet keeps us cheek to cheek at all times.
I can feel your virtual breath on my neck. Combination of titillation and I can't. Words lost to me, Marlon. But we live in a time of the Roro, and I don't want to catch the Roro from you, Marlon. So
fair.
Did you put a virtual mask on for me, bud?
Okay, there we go. Yeah, let me virtual mask up.
Mask up, bud.
My thought was titillation and probably some manner of dampness if I'm just wet breathing onto your neck hairs.
And we're in the damp months.
Yeah, we are.
We're right in the middle of that.
The dog days? Are these the dog days?
These are the dog days. Speaking of dogs, you and I both know a little dirty dog named Chase Rader that we should give some props to.
Yes, we're 10 episodes in, and it dawned on me that we had not heaped the deserved amount of praise onto one Chase Rader, who's a very funny Fargo comic who does our intro.
Yes. I think it's for the best, though, because if you've ever met the man, he's got a bit of an ego on him. You know, we call him Hollywood Raider. It's like, man, the last thing he needs.
Chase Rader is a absolute gemstone of a human being and a fantastic comic here in Fargo. So we went to him before we started with all this and asked if he'd throw us together a little something, and he did. Couldn't be happier with how that turned out. I love that theme song. I
agree wholeheartedly.
Such a good dude. So it dawned on me while editing last week's podcast that we hadn't given him enough praise just yet. So thank you, Chase.
Thank you, Chase. He's a real nice boy.
He is. He's one of the good ones.
Yep. All on the subject of good humans, let's also give a shout out to Mother effing Bo Outlaw, longtime NBA journeyman. Orlando Magic, Phoenix Suns for bulk of his career, gave us a slight shout out on Twitter. Was it a retweet or a like?
An interaction, yeah. I looked at my phone when it buzzed just the other night, and it said, Bo Outlaw liked your tweet, which I immediately shrieked like a girl and screen capped that and sent that over to Nathan, who I'm sure was ear to ear, just grinning.
I literally felt a feeling of giddiness I have not felt in a long... I'm feeling it right now. There are hormones being released by glands in my body that only Bo Outlaw can activate. I saw Bo Outlaw in the late 90s or early 2000s on like a boring NBC afternoon game play Alonzo Mourning to a standstill. Bo Outlaw is the size of one of Alonzo Mourning's legs, and yet with his prescription Oakley goggles battled one of the best centers in the NBA for 48 minutes, and he deserves props for that. And fact checked, I'm not sure if those goggles were prescription. They might have just been a fashion statement, but we'll have one of our interns look into that.
I'd wager they were legit.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of guys wore them for funsies because they can't be fun to wear.
Oh yeah, and they were like legit Oakley, so I don't think they had like a strap or nothing. So
that was a fun surprise the other night.
Yeah. So Bo Outlaw, thank you. Robin Lopez, Kurt Rambis, if you're listening, don't let Bo Outlaw have all the fun. Why don't you guys dive into Craig Elo?
Hop on the show. Yeah. Like we would happily have anybody on the show or
if you are one of Craig Elo's children, please tell him to check his Twitter. I don't think he's very active.
I don't think so either.
It's like Craig Elo's Twitter account looks like something he just started for like an assignment in like an adult learning class he took a couple summers ago.
At community college.
Yep. The wife wants to take pottery classes, and I got to be here for 2 hours, so I may as well learn about the internet.
Yeah, and never touched it ever since.
Yeah. But that's why we like Craig Elo.
That was a fun surprise from Bo Outlaw, and hopefully just the first of many.
Yeah, I hope Bo Outlaw likes the band Poison. I like to think we were singing for him.
That Bo Outlaw also is out for nothing but a good time. Yeah. Seems like a good time kind of guy.
Blocking shots and getting rebounds is a good time. he had a good time for the better part of a decade.
Yeah, and I believe still has some manner of relationship or job with the Magic. I think he works in their office, if I'm not mistaken.
Just came to mind. I'm focusing too much on the big men here for the most part. Daryl Armstrong, teammate of Bo Outlaw's, another dude that squeezed a fortune out of a nickel's worth of talent. So, Daryl Armstrong, you are awesome. Check us out. Come meet us in person. I'll give you my home address. You want to take shit? You want to be my best friend? Whatever happens, happens. I want to meet you, Daryl Armstrong.
Daryl Armstrong shows up at your door, just, hey, Nathan.
Yeah. I like that. How audacious of me to think that Daryl Armstrong would want anything I own.
Right.
He probably made $30 million in his career.
But yet you think he's going to rob your house?
Yeah, man. I'm really going to
give him permission.
We're going to steal that Craigslist recliner that has been very worn in.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me over. I'm going to take this broken down recliner full of farts and throw it in my car and be out of here.
And we have the technology. I could heat my house for a lifetime with all the built up methane in this.
Is that a CRT television? Yeah. Grab that end. I'm taking this too.
You have a GameCube hooked up to it. Very nice.
You got Smash Brothers for this? All right, I'm going to take that too. It's got a handle. So I'm out.
All shitty aftermarket controllers. That adds up.
Oh, a lot of Wildcat products, huh? Yeesh. Did you really need the one with the fan in it? I don't think that's a necessary thing. Anyway, I'm taking it.
Yeah.
Translucent green Wildcats controller. That's the second player controller. That's the shitty one for company.
Did that fully auto option really help you get ahead in life? I don't think it did. Judging by this drabby apartment.
Who's your Smash main? Luigi? Get the fuck out of here. I'm taking
this.
Look
at him. Look at him playing with Kirby. What a basic bitch. Did you just buy this game this afternoon? Have some self-respect. You Star Fox.
No self-respecting Smash player plays Kirby. Get out of here. But you can fly, so it's hard to knock you out. The Kirby's bullshit.
It's so cute when he gets the other people's hats, though.
It is. You know what? I can't. I was just playing Smash on the Switch not 2 days ago, playing as Kirby.
Okay. We're getting a little off track here.
Never.
To reiterate, Bo Outlaw, Beast in the Paint, Kirby, goddamn little cutie. He's a little tasty little treat, that Kirby.
Speaking of off track, this is a Simpsons podcast where we occasionally talk about a little animated television program, a little sitcom from the 90s to current called The Simpsons.
If you're not aware, it's animated. It's not live action.
It's a cartoon, and from what I understand, quite popular there for a bit. We are working our way through it. This is our 10th episode, which means you and I have now watched 50 episodes of The Simpsons.
What a way to spend a pandemic.
Right? Doesn't that it seems like just the other day we were undertaking this, watching god-awful season 1 episodes.
Oh, my God.
And now here we are, 50 episodes in.
The show has improved, and I think we as men have improved.
I think so, too. And frankly, I think the podcast has gotten better. I feel like, much like season 1, the early stuff, not nearly as good as where we're at now.
I would agree with that.
And we're working through season 3 as we speak. We have episodes 11 through 15 on the docket today. Let's do it. Let's jump in. We're starting with episode 11, I Married Marge, yet another flashback episode. Well, I shouldn't say yet another. It makes it sound like it's the 30th one, but this, I think, is only the second one. Tells the story of how Marge and Homer got married and started their trip down this road of life. Marge, it starts off, she is off to the doctor because she thinks that she might be pregnant, and that's our framing device for the rest of the episode of Homer sitting at home, not thrilled at the prospect of another Simpson child, but nonetheless, he's going to tell Bart and Lisa and Maggie all about how their lives together started. He takes it back to the 80s, which his 2 examples of why the 80s were rad were the campaign of John Anderson and the rise of Supertramp, which I thought was a great line.
Homer, unabashedly loves like late 70s, early 80s, like radio rock.
Oh, for sure.
That's his wheelhouse.
Like Supertramp is, I feel like, a very specific, a very specific brand of dad is super into Supertramp.
Grand Funk Railroad, probably always put them together.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
sure they're
Foreigner
on that list. Yep, maybe a little Journey. That would have been a little later, but
no, I would definitely put them in there too.
So during the flashback, Marge and Homer are together. Homer has kind of a dead end job working at the putt-putt at the mini golf course, where he sits in the windmill and turns it. Which I think that's funny that's a manual labor job that he has. Hopes to someday work his way up to being the guy who hands out the putters, but it kind of is what it is just now. He and Marge go out on a date. They go to a movie. They go to Empire Strikes Back, and he ruins the ending for everyone in line as he walks by, which I liked.
Yeah, Homer dropping spoilers before spoilers were a thing.
Yep, before spoilers were even a thing, Homer was out there doing it. And Marge and Homer hook up inside the castle that's on the putt-putt golf course, which I applauded. I was like, hey, good on you. I've never banged in a mini golf course castle. So
Marlin, stop for a second. You haven't banged in a mini golf course castle yet. Yet. You're a young man. You're the prime. You're just starting to blossom.
Yeah, I am blossoming so hard right now.
Yeah. I thought I smelled something. It's essence in the air of a young man blooming.
Yeah, as we speak.
One thing during this time, too, Homer appears to be driving an early 70s Dodge muscle car with an aftermarket steel chain steering wheel, which pretty boss ride. It's got a nice spoiler in the back, which is tight.
Got a Disco Sucks bumper sticker.
Yep, he does.
The silver chain steering wheel always seems cool or like a good idea from afar until you got a hot day where the sun beats on it all afternoon.
Yep. My God, yeah. That is
Hop into your car and grab the steering wheel and just brand yourself with it immediately.
I think that's something that's missing with modern cars. It's like, if you bought something from like the 80s or older, everything could be replaced with something slightly stupider.
Yep.
Like, hey, you want skull and crossbone door locks? You got it. You want, like 8-ball valve stem covers? You got it.
Yeah. I definitely, in high school, owned a 1986 Mazda 626 with a manual transmission that eventually had an 8-ball stick shifter knob on it.
Oh, nice.
I was very cool.
There was a time in American history where you were cool for having that. You maybe overshot it by a few years, but goddamn it, you tried.
And it definitely went well with my aftermarket, Spencer's Gift steering wheel cover that was, I think, some manner of like a royal flush card hand that was on fire or something.
You're the right age too. When you were a teenager, there was a brief moment at Spencer's Gift where 95% of that store consisted of Austin Powers memorabilia.
Yeah, I was that age.
Yeah.
And I love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they didn't come around again to being cool until 5 years ago. And I can't be a 30-year-old going into Spencer's Gifts. I'll get arrested.
No, there's an acceptable spot for dads to go to and laugh at the old fart spray or the novelty birthday cards.
Oh, sure, there is that section I'd be allowed in. Yeah.
They have yellow tape in the area you're allowed. Just stay within the confines and you're okay.
Yeah, this is for dads. You can't
shouldn't
come
be milling around the My Chemical Romance baby doll tees. That's not.
But that's what I'm there for, Nathan. Need a new MCR Black Parade baby doll tee. That's what I'm there for. I need that and a sweet piece of finger armor and some shot glasses.
God, the novelty shot glasses that place is sold.
God, and I definitely have owned some Spencer's Gift shot glasses. And let me tell you, one trip through the dishwasher, and that is a blank, plain shot glass. That sticker comes right off.
Are you telling me that they don't hire the finest craftsmen at Spencer's Gifts?
Exactly. It's not the creme de la creme top shelf MIT student that makes the little bed of nails that you put your hand in.
Yeah. I always wondered too, the shit that's which of their target audience has $400 to blow on a 6 foot tall, ornately carved skull? Some of the shit they had, why waste shelf space on this?
Yeah, it's like the carnival. Do you guys ever give away one of these great big bears, or does it just travel from town to town? Yeah. And occasionally someone vacuums it. Does anyone ever get it?
You gotta be sick of loading this thing up every week.
Spencer's Gifts.
One nice touch in this episode is since it's young Marge, she's still living at home, so we get to see a fairly rare appearance from Marge's mother.
Yeah,
still an asshole. That hasn't
awful
changed.
As always. Yeah, she's garbage.
Terrible person.
Ugh. The Marge gets pregnant from that magical night in the mini golf castle. And they they jump across the state border to Shotgun Pete's Wedding Chapel, which is a real good name. Upon entering and buying themselves a wedding, they get a punch card, and the 10th one is free, which I thought was a nice touch. They're married at the wedding chapel. Homer is trying to figure out how he's going to support
the fam.
Support. Good Lord.
We know words.
That was a tough one. Had to really dig for that one.
One point when he's applying for jobs and he comes back all crestfallen, and Marge is like, "Did you get the job?" His response, "No, they wanted someone good."
Yep. That's when he is rejected from the power plant, which is his preferred. That's the A job. That's the one that he really wants, is the power plant. But then we get a good montage of him trying to get jobs at other places, during which we get some real nice Dolly Parton, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
which I enjoyed.
One of those jobs was selling knives door to door.
Yeah.
Have you ever dabbled in door to door sales in your mini careers?
I have not. I can't imagine.
I've had a couple of buddies that did that insane selling steaks door to door in a refrigerated truck.
What?
Yeah, man, that was a thing in the early aughts for a while. They had this script, they had to convince the people that oh man, we our freezers broke down back at the meat plant, so we're just out here pushing beef, if you could,
at liquidation prices, yeah. I'm sure, because of this totally broken freezer.
And my friend would say everyone saw right through it. Like, just why not be honest? It's like, hey, man, I'm selling meat. It's not bad. Just like, do you need meat? If not, I'll just keep driving. Like,
yeah, but that's not how you're supposed to do it. I've had one sales job in my life, and I hated it with a passion.
Yeah.
I spent probably 6 months selling light bulbs over the phone.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
And you wanna come home from work and put a gun in your mouth, might I suggest, selling light bulbs over the phone.
I don't get it. Like, when I buy a light bulb, Marlin, it's because
when one burns out,
burnt the fuck out.
Probably when the last one burns out. Odds are a couple went before it and you just lived with it.
I've never sat in a room that's lit and thought, could this be lit better? Am I getting the most out of my light bulbs? Do you remember when there used to be like in the summertime that like roving band of feral teens would come to Fargo and sell magazine subscriptions?
I've had that. I've had that person knock on my door for sure.
Insanity. Like, they were always from way out of state, and it was like to raise money for some trip. It's like, what's going on? Like,
yeah, it always at least had the facade of like a school fundraiser of types, and it's like, no, get out. How'd you get into this apartment building?
Yeah, I even think like maybe more
buzzed you in?
Yeah, like more like a cult. Like, yeah, and man, you let them in your home, they're not leaving. You are subscribing to Field and Stream. There is no way around that, man. I hope you like reading about fishing, because you got a 4-year subscription.
I've never bought anything from them. They've never gotten in my door.
Yeah, there's there's always like one talking to you and a couple others milling around the property. It's like, that's I was like, I'm trying to look at him, but I'm looking over his shoulders. Like, his buddy's like giving himself ear gauges in my driveway. It's like, hey, man.
It's like, are you casing the joint?
Exactly, yeah.
This is North Dakota. North Dakota loves stand your ground. You kids ought to be careful.
It's like the third most popular source of cardio
is standing your ground.
Defending your property from intruders that are not intruders. They're checking the water meter, but
I bet I bet if you dug deep into how stand your ground is worded for North Dakota, it's probably a 400-yard circle around your front door that's covered. So watch yourselves, magazine sellers.
One quick thing too, when Marge finds out she's pregnant and they're kind of coming to grips with it, she grabs a pamphlet that's titled "So You've Ruined Your Life," which I thought was pretty great.
I also like seeing young Dr. Hibbert with his massive afro.
Yeah. Nothing really changed. He's a little bit bigger, thicker now, and the hair's changed, but that voice, that deep,
that's a good voice. Yep. That really, really lulls you. It's a voice that feels safe, like a blanket around your shoulders. So Homer isn't having any luck on the job market, and he writes a note to Marge while she's asleep, and he takes off. It says in the note basically, "I'll send you everything that I make, and I'll come back once I'm a responsible adult." And he takes off, and he's out in the wind. I think he's working at a what was the name of the fast food joint? The Blow and Gulp or something like that.
Gulp and Blow, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, the Gulp and Blow, which is some manner of fast food restaurant. So he's working there and being sad and not doing well. But Marge eventually comes and visits him. Patty and Selma tell her where he's at, and she comes and visits and begs for him to come home, and the baby's going to be born soon. And Homer kind of just has a nut up moment and throws away his uniform from the Gulp and Blow and marches into the power plant, which is the job he wants, marches straight into Mr. Burns' office. Our only appearance of Mr. Burns in this entire 5-episode set. Not a lot of Burns this time around.
Oh, good point.
But he marches in there, demands a job, says he'll do whatever it takes, and that Burns can treat him like garbage, like sells himself on how easy to bully he would be. That's like his main hiring point. And Burns admires the moxie and gives him a job. And Homer takes off to the hospital where Bart is being born, and he stands up to himself against the sisters, and Bart is born and is immediately a troublemaker, takes a Zippo lighter off one of the sisters and sets Homer's tie on fire after being alive for all of 10 minutes. And we cut back to modern day where Homer is wrapping up the story to the kids, and he does a real like, oh, you're all blessings. We love you very much, and is really laying it on thick with the kids. And Marge comes in and announces that she is in fact not pregnant, at which point Homer jumps up, knocking over the kids, and just high fives Marge.
They really like to end on a gag. Up. Yep, I really appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, they do. I noticed that in this batch of episodes, too. They love ending on a joke.
Yeah.
Send them home happy. But all in all, like, it was fine. I didn't think there's anything special about this episode. I didn't think there was anything special about the last flashback episode. So maybe I'm just not wild about the flashbacks.
Yeah, I'm the same thing. It wasn't bad, but yeah, it's something about the flashbacks. I don't know what it is.
I found myself, much like the last flashback one, I like the frame. I like that they go through the work of putting together a framing advice that they keep coming back and touching base on. Like the last one was the TV was broke, and they were telling that story of how they met, and then every so often we'd cut back to Bart like frantically trying to fix the TV or something like that.
It's more like these flashback episodes. They're more for like character development, so it's not like the premises aren't really wacky enough to like deliver big, consistent, memorable laughs. But hey, it's still fine. I think we're at a point now it's going to be pretty shocking when we run into a dud episode.
Yeah, I think so too. Like this one is my least favorite of the 5 we watched this week, and it was good.
Yep,
like I don't think anything ever dips below good anymore, which I'm all for. I did like there was a couple of just little gags of like, oh, Homer is starting to lose his hair because someone finds hair in the food he's making at that fast food joint. It's like, okay, those are cool little wink and nods. I like the scene of he and Barney sitting on Barney's couch eating cookie dough straight out of the tube.
Yeah, that is a good point. I like anytime we get to a glimpse into Barney's home life.
Yeah. We also got just a quick flash of middle-aged grandpa, which I don't like.
It's weird seeing about him with regular hair.
Yeah, something about like 35-year-old Abe Simpson that I'm just like, oh, nope, that's not how you're supposed to look. Sorry.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So looks like we're up to our next episode, which is Radio Bart.
Hell yeah.
Before we dive too far in, I do want to mention in the intro when Bart is writing on the chalkboard this week, he was in trouble for "I will not carve gods." What the fuck does that mean, Marlin?
What crime led to that punishment? I want to see.
Like carving some kind of totems that give him like mystical powers.
A tiki of some sort, tiki pendant. I don't know.
Also, early in this episode too, it's, again, Simpsons. It's a lot of seeing what they're seeing on TV, and there was some kind of show. Oh, it was Lisa was dancing. And it was apparently it was supposed to be a Soul Train type show. Like, I think Don Cornelius came out and it was like talking about the performers. Like, were you a Soul Train family growing up, Marlin? I can't imagine.
No, we were not. I have still to this day never seen a frame of Soul Train.
See, if you were,
I'm aware of what it is, but that's about it.
If you were #blessed enough to grow up with basic cable in the 80s, it was really a bizarre phenomenon where you were watching cartoons on a Saturday morning, and being about 11 o'clock, the cartoons are kind of wrapping up. Like, oh, well, let's see what's on one of the other 13 channels, and you would happen to turn it to WGN, and it would be Earth, Wind, and Fire just ripping the fucking roof off the joint. Like, I was not expecting this. I am 7. Like,
this is too early in the morning, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
How many strings are on that bass? That guy's going for it.
Is that just a harp made of bass strings?
Yeah. Then Don Cornelius comes out with a voice so low it freaks dogs out. Rattles
your CRT television.
Yeah, to introduce Shaka Khan or some other artist of that era. Yeah, so it's kind of I think it's been off the air for probably like 10, 15 years now, but it had its run, man, probably 20, 30 years of Soul Train. So
they also, during that bit on The Simpsons, really show Homer as being just a drooling dope. Like, oh, there's booty shaking going on the screen, so Homer is just reverts to this Neanderthal state of staring and drooling.
And this episode kind of revolves around Bart's birthday, at least at the beginning. And there's a nice scene where Homer's like measuring Bart against the wall. And it comes out now that apparently Bart doesn't have a spike haircut. He has a spiky skull because of how the height is measured against the wall.
Yeah, rather than a straight line, it's just a jagged zigzag that follows his hair. That was a good touch.
It's a trip to remember, like, it's hard to remember being an age where you were getting taller. It kind of freaks me out to think about, this isn't just done. Can you remember when you were done?
I don't remember getting taller, so I must remember when it was done.
Yeah. I remember like being like, I don't know, 16, 17, like, oh, I guess this is it. This is who I am.
This is where I stopped, I guess.
Oh, you weren't one of those kids that was like fully formed at 12?
No, I don't think so.
I went to school with a couple of them. They were like Goliaths in the 6th grade, and then like they're 5'11" now, you know. Like, they got all their puberty done in one weird weekend.
I definitely remember a spell of like needing new shoes every like 4 fucking months.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, all right, new shoes, and these are too small. Immediately. Didn't even have time to scuff them up. Barely got the tags off and need bigger shoes.
I remember seeing an interview with Shaquille O'Neal's mom that said when he was like in his early teen years, he once grew out of a pant size in a week.
Holy shit. Good Lord.
I think he might have been part of some like defunct Weapon X project on the East Coast.
Some government super soldier program.
Like if he wouldn't have made it in basketball, he should get a weekly check from the government as an apology. Like, our bad.
I love Shaquille O'Neal. I like Shaquille O'Neal the way you like Larry Bird. I have always been just the hugest Shaq fan.
He's a charming dude. Doesn't take himself too seriously. Knows how to have a good time.
And I feel like I was just the right age when he came along. Like, I remember seeing him playing for the Magic and him breaking a backboard once, and that seeming like some superhuman. He may as well have been He-Man. Like, he may as well have been a superhero when I saw that for the first time. I had action figures and Shaq shoes and Shaq rap albums. I was a huge fan.
There was an awkward period in the mid-'90s when Shaq went with the very regrettable look of just sideburns.
Yeah.
No facial hair elsewhere, no hair on his head, just two-inch strips of bacon on the side of his head. I would say that's just under Michael Jordan bringing back the Hitler mustache about 15 years ago for one bizarre Hanes underwear ad.
Yeah. Michael, what are you doing? It's not the Charlie Chaplin. It got taken over. I'm sorry.
Charlie Chaplin died 50 years ago.
Yeah.
He is not who people remember that mustache for.
Nope. I get that he had it too, and he had it first, but it doesn't matter.
Nope. Let's see, looking more into this episode too. So Bart has his birthday at some kind of, it's actually called Wall-E Weasel.
Wall-E Weasels, yep.
Wall-E Weasel.
Their tagline on the front of the building is, "We cram fun down your throat."
Which I always love in shows like this. They always sell it as being like chintzy and like low grade. But like, I'm sure for you too, growing up on the moon as we did, the idea of having a birthday party when you're 7 years old at a Chuck E. Cheese sounds like the most amazing thing that could ever happen to you.
Yeah, that would have sounded mind-blowing to me. I don't even think I knew places like that existed. Yeah. I think southwestern North Dakota is in a dome that just keeps the rest of the world out. It's like that Shyamalan movie, The Village. No one tells you what's beyond the trees, except we don't have trees.
Except no one tells you that there's animatronic mice that will serve you pizza in the big city.
Right. Yeah. No one tells you that there is pizza that doesn't come from the freezer.
See, we might not technically had like a Chuck E. Cheese ripoff. I think it was called like Planet Pizza. Like, I don't know what, I mean, I'm sure it was of some kind of space, like probably like a middle-aged woman in a old cosmonaut spacesuit that they got at an Army surplus auction serves you bad pizza, like makes some beep bop boop noises or something. As the manager has to put on a shitty R2-D2 ripoff costume and scoot across the floor as kids throw tennis balls at you or something like that. As he regrets the day he was signed up to get an art history degree.
Should have been an electrician. God damn it.
Should have went into one of the STEM fields.
It's fucking hot in this suit.
The dishwashers always tape over the vents as like a show of defiance.
Assholes taped him up again. Trying to smoke in here. I can't imagine having to work at a place like that.
Oh my God.
I just can't fathom. I like how in the Wally Weasels here in The Simpsons, you can see the eye slot that the employee is seeing out of, and the eyes are drawn so angry.
Yeah.
They are the most pointed, evil eyes, because whoever's in that suit fucking hates life.
Yeah, and I just totally lost my train of thought.
I had actually never been to a Chuck E. Cheese until well into adulthood. I was like 25 when I was at my first Chuck E. Cheese. And
I still never have.
I was like, I'd have lost my fucking mind if you'd have brought me here when I was 8.
And I think as an employee, I mean, maybe you just get used to it, but like when your first week there, when all it is it's because it's all high-pitched children screaming and then babies screaming. Because often like parents are so dulled to that noise. But if you're not used to it, that is just a fucking nightmare scenario of high-pitched squeals. Like,
yeah, to this day, if I'm out at a restaurant or in a store somewhere and you hear that child scream, it is the most, like, the hair on my neck stands up. Like, what is that?
Yep. But like you were kind of hitting like all of that said. You bring 7-year-old me in a birthday hat to that place, I would have been like a pig in shit. Like, there's pizza and video games and just silly nonsense. I still love silly nonsense. But at that age,
I will still occasionally, like not now with the Rona, but back in the before times of 8 months ago, I would go to Chuck E. Cheese and play skee ball with a friend of mine and then give the tickets to some kid that's there.
Oh boy, Marlin, I'm sure glad you mentioned it was with a friend of yours, because I don't want this podcast to end because you are incarcerated.
Yes, I have to bring a friend. And they still eyeball you when you go in without a kid. They're like, we don't like this. I'm like, I'm just here to play skee ball, man. We're just going to play some skee ball and give the tickets to some kid and be on our way. Put the tasers down.
Call the regional manager, Dennis. The large one's back.
They got my picture printed off behind the cash register.
But yeah,
I'm not here to swipe anyone from your greasy casino.
And yeah, like looking back, like my birthday parties, perfectly fine, not memorable, but like I bet if you took a big city kid to a rural North Dakota birthday party in the 80s, it's like this is like from the fucking Grapes of Wrath. Just outside a trailer house, it's dusty. Like all the kids need to be bathed. Everyone's covered in scabs. And you eat a plain cake with nothing on it, maybe a few candles. You choke down a bunch of ice cream and you run around covered in sticky shit until someone falls and gets hurt, and then it's all over.
There's always one.
Every adult is smoking too.
There's always one kid who like ruins it. One kid gets bullied and wants to go home early.
Shout out to my friend Ryan Osheim. He one time fell directly into our garbage can because he was trying to tightrope walk on the edge of the patio of our trailer house, and he did a header into a garbage can. And my mom had to make a business decision. She said, "Let the band play on," and sent him home alone.
That's all our birthday parties were. It was never like a destination birthday party. It was like, hey, it's your birthday, so your friends are gonna come sleep over, and you'll all get off your stop on the school bus, and then you'll get on again tomorrow. Like there was no, we're going to Bismarck to do this. It was just a sleepover.
I remember how much of a trip it was to ride someone else's school bus.
Yeah, it was
like a whole other world.
It felt so weird, to be like, man, it goes way out here, huh?
Yeah. And you kind of had to be on a swivel because this was at a time when it was totally acceptable for a 17-year-old just to stomp an 8-year-old half to death if they looked at him wrong.
Yep. Don't look at the back of the bus. Don't worry about what they're doing. Because they know you're off to have fun, so they're ready to spoil it just because they know that you're having fun.
When I was like 8 years old, we moved, so we switched buses. And my first day on the bus, one of the teenagers unveils from like a duffel bag an actual Freddy Krueger glove, like with the knife fingers that he made in shop class because they were teaching welding. And he proceeded to just ribbon slash all the bus seats in the back of the bus.
Jesus.
Like nearly total out of bust. And tell you right now, Marlin, to this day, 40-year-old man, he's top 5 coolest Cubans I've ever met for that alone. I think they just kicked him out of town after that. I never saw him again. But for that one afternoon, he was king.
He was king with his Freddy glove.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
A teacher had to see him making that glove. There's a lot of intricate welds. There's hinges involved.
That had to have been approved by someone.
Oh, what can you get? How much trouble can a kid get with a glove with blades for fingers?
Right. It'll be fine.
So they're at the Wally Weasel, Simpsons, doing Wally Weasel type activities. Then it's time for the gift opening, and Bart is getting dud after dud. And usually I'm like, man, Bart's an asshole, but I feel him with this, because wasn't that the worst? Because you don't get a lot of shit growing up. You ain't got no income. You got to rely on the generosity of strangers to get things. And one thing as a kid, looking back, I understand getting socks and underwear and shit, because, hey, that's what you need. Times are tough. But getting a goddamn puzzle, Marlin, used to just infuriate me. Because first off, it just shows you've never once paid attention to me, because the last thing I want is a puzzle. And a puzzle isn't even like being lazy. It's like, oh shit, there's a birthday party in 15 minutes. Like if you went into if I got like a Johnny Cash windbreaker from a truck stop, it's like, oh, that makes sense because you are not a good parent. You realize your kid has something going on. But like, if you're buying me a puzzle, man, you went to a store with toys. That's where they sell puzzles. You were inches away from the good shit. But nope, let's get him a puzzle. Hey, man, want to build a picture? No kid ever want to. Oh, look, it's trees. It's the leaves changing. Did you forget I'm 7?
And a tree puzzle is hard. Leaves all look the same. You got me homework, and my reward at the end is a picture.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm going to immediately break down and put back in the box.
I remember someone was like, you could just like put tape over it or glue it together and then you can hang it on your wall. Like, yeah, man, because that seems real fucking cool.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever done that. I've always heard that too. Like, yeah, when you're done, you flip it over and you brush glue on it. No one's done that. Not ever.
Yeah.
You break it down, you throw it back in the box.
And then the box slowly degrades as it gets stomped on because you never put it in the right spot. And then it all goes in the trash.
Yep. Because, I mean, what are you going to do? Put the same puzzle together again down the road? That's like people that reread books. I'm not a book rereader. I finish a book, it goes to the library.
I was hoping you'd flush it down the toilet.
It goes on the burn pile.
Just stomping a hardcover book down the toilet. Why won't you go to book heaven?
Jesus, Marlin, it's not a goldfish.
Your landlord has to have a talk with you. It's like, hey man, there's all 7 of the Dark Tower series have destroyed the plumbing of this apartment complex. You happen to know anything about that?
Hardcover too. What the fuck?
That Stephen King rules sticker in the back window of your car makes me think.
Well, first off, that's where the last 3 books in that series belong, is in the toilet. Because they're shit.
And Homer thinks he's going to win Bart over with the gift he got him, which is like a radio transmitter microphone, so he can talk into a microphone and your voice will project over an AM frequency.
Yeah, which when seeing this, was like, I would have fucking loved that as a kid.
Yeah, there's fun. And then Bart, not a forward-thinking young man. He's like, nope, that sucks. But eventually it does dawn on him, hey, this gift could be pretty rad.
Once he realizes he can cause trouble with it. Yeah,
the juvenile delinquent capabilities of this gift are through the roof.
I also like that Patty and Selma got him a label maker, which he also figures out how to be troublesome with by just labeling everything.
Everything is his,
Yeah, property of Bart. He even puts a property of Bart Simpson label on the last beer in the fridge, and Homer's like, oh, there's only one left, but it's Bart's. It's good, dumb Homer.
Yeah. Oh, another nice thing with Homer, too, is when he's looking for ice cream in the fridge and there's a box of Neapolitan and he opens it and all the chocolate's gone. And there's another box in there and he opens that and yet all that chocolate in that section's gone. It's like
all the vanilla and strawberry untouched. They're still in perfect rectangles.
I never was a strawberry ice cream man. I would do the same thing. It's just like, why don't we get chocolate ice cream? What are we doing here?
Why don't we just get a box of chocolate ice cream?
Yeah.
I was in that scene just like, oh, I remember boxes of ice cream. I haven't gotten just a square lunk of ice cream in a while.
Yeah, no kid. That's all we had as a kid usually.
Yep, the cardboard box.
Yeah, and it always get beat up and freezer burnt. And it's like you have to just make a personal decision as how bad you really want ice cream.
You get down to the bottom and it's nothing but the corners that the ice cream scoop can't get into. So you just like cut open the box and eat it right off the sad cardboard.
You're using like a carrot peeler so you can get in the deep angles. Like kids sure like carrots. It's always dirty.
So, yeah, the vegetable peelers are always dirty in this house. I don't mind a Neapolitan, but it's never the first thing that I'm reaching for. And when I do buy Neapolitan, I do the cross section. I get a little of each.
Ooh, look at you.
I like a strawberry ice cream every so often.
Adventurous, this one.
Yeah, that's me.
And well, Bart figures out what like the perfect way to be an asshole with that microphone is. He puts a little AM radio at the bottom of a well so he can pretend to be a kid trapped in a well. And I don't know if you were alive in the 80s, but kids were getting trapped in wells every other weekend. It was a common thing in the news. And Baby Jessica was in that well for a long time. I didn't
know that. I just
no doubt.
When I think kid in a well, I think Lassie, and that's from like the 50s. I figured by the 80s we had solved this rampant well problem.
If you were a child in the late 80s and you walked into the living room and your mom was gripped by whatever was on TV, it was probably a made-for-TV reenactment about a child trapped in a well.
What, I grew up out on a farm. There's not just wells everywhere.
Well, apparently there is somewhere. I don't know where. Upper Midwest isn't well country, apparently.
Apparently, well, like all of our water was well water. There had to have been wells somewhere, but fuck
I'm
if
sure
I know.
You guys had the common decency to cap them. So children can't fall into them.
Yeah, maybe that was the secret. I like that classic stone circle of a well I've never seen in my life.
And this quickly, the child trapped in is it Timmy O'Toole? I think is the name he gives the well kid.
Yep, Timmy O'Toole,
and becomes a not just regional, almost national news story. The boy trapped in the well, and they even make like a song, like a celebrity song, which were popular in the 80s to help
like
raise awareness.
We Are the World type.
Yeah.
With Sting.
Yeah. Is there anything more early 90s than a guest appearance by Sting?
Nope, that might be it.
Yeah. He's really into tantric sex, if you pay attention to that Sting, Marlin.
Yeah, he likes to put it in and leave it for a long time.
Yeah. You a big tantric sex guy, Marlin? What's your thoughts on that?
I can't say as I am. I got shit to do.
Yeah, it's like 24 hours in a day. That's my motto. I mean, I kind of get like the basics of how it kind of works. I think it's just like, dude, correct me if I'm wrong. You're a worldly man. Maybe like it's kind of like when you're about to gush, you know, like about to. Yeah.
Boy, I sure don't like the way gush hit my ears.
You're about to tip your cup, as a proper man would say.
Yeah,
you're about to spill a cup. I don't know, like you like think about Santa or something, get you from spilling them. Or think about Kent Herbeck mowing his lawn or something like that.
Yeah,
it's all about holding back the gush.
I don't fucking know what Sting is doing, man.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
And it's some manner of, it's real spiritual. I'm like, man, spirituality is the last thing I'm looking for.
Guessing Mrs. Sting just wants him to gush so she can get on with her life.
Mrs. Sting probably has shit to do. God damn it. I like that when they're doing that whole "We Are the World" song with all the different celebrities. We saw our boy there, Mr. Lance Murdoch, Daredevil.
Yep. Good catch. I noticed that too. Yeah.
Good to see him still out there getting it done.
And Bart, as you mentioned, there was the label maker. Lisa points out the fatal flaw in his plan is that his radio has property of Bart Simpson on it because he thought he'd be able to get away with this.
Yeah.
Nah, his name is attached. So late one night, he decides to try to retrieve his radio, and what do you know? Ends up getting stuck in the well himself. The town doesn't care. It gets out that there was never a Timmy O'Toole, but Bart actually is stuck in the well, and they kind of just pack up camp and leave. Yeah, they don't give a shit. Like they just throw Marge and Homer just like throw him sweatshirts and snacks to keep him from freezing or starving.
Yeah.
And then though the community does rally when I believe it's Homer just starts digging. Does that sound right? Homer and Marge, they decide we're gonna get our boy out here one way or the other.
Yeah, Homer just grabs a spade and starts digging a hole next to the well, and the community kind of sees that they ought to chip in. The very first one who hops on board is Groundskeeper Willy, and boy, howdy do I love me some Groundskeeper Willy.
Yeah.
That man sees Homer digging and grabs his spade, rips his shirt off, and is just yoked. Dude. He-Man Scott Steiner yoked.
He is definitely cutting the carbs. He is very cut. A lot of definition there.
Yep. Just cartoonishly muscular.
So they finally are able to dig Bart out, and that's kind of the end. He realizes he did a bad thing, but it doesn't matter because he's incorrigible, that Bart Simpson.
And much like most of these Bart episodes, you get the feeling he learned something from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I thought that was a really good episode. Just that the radio in the well and Bart being Timmy O'Toole and being so like wholesome.
Yeah.
Oh, and fucking yoked Willy. Oh shit, that was funny. That got a genuine out loud laugh out of me. I was like, of course. Makes sense. The man's a groundskeeper. He works for a living.
Just gonna say, physical work. Yeah, got the grip strength on that man.
He's got a good dad handshake, I'm sure. Yeah. Really crack a finger or two.
Like eagle talons. Don't they sell lotion where you shop?
Just a callus. Just one big callus. Episode 13, halfway through this batch, is Lisa the Greek. Maybe my favorite of the whole batch. Maybe it's just because I like football. Maybe it's because it's a good episode. I don't know. It starts off with Homer watching football with a mass array of snacks. I'm a one snack man if I'm sitting on the couch watching something. It is a thing, but he has a whole smorgasbord, and Lisa kind of wants to hang out with Homer, but he's not having any because he's watching football, and Lisa goes to her mom, and Marge says, why don't maybe you try to bridge the gap and go do something with him that he likes rather than the other way around, because the other way around isn't working out. So she starts watching football with Homer while Marge and Bart go clothes shopping. And there's a great bit when they go clothes shopping. Like Marge is loading Bart up with all these awful clothes, like horrible patterned shirts and a bow tie, and definite bully fodder when it comes to clothing.
She opens the dressing room door while he's in there. Everyone can see him.
Everyone sees him in his underwear and laugh at him.
Yeah,
Bart has a rough go this episode.
I really felt like I love this because I remember being even maybe younger than Bart, being stuck with your mom when she's clothes shopping felt like death.
Yeah,
I would do that. I just tug on my mom's purse and repeat, "Mom, I'm dying," over and over again, or just lie down, like a gunshot victim, just lying down. I remember doing that a lot. Nope, I'm dead. I guess this is it. I am bored to death. I can't look at little kids' shoes anymore.
I can definitely remember following behind the cart as a kid when we were at Walmart or something clothes shopping and being like, I can't go on any further.
And a handful of times I would think, I think I can just sneak away, go look at the He-Man guys for a little while, come right back, no one will be the wiser. 15 minutes later, I am sobbing, screaming at a Kmart employee to find my mom. that was more than a few Kmart trips were interrupted by me just wandering off to go look at toys again. I also remember one time grabbing onto a lady's purse because I thought it was my mom, following her halfway, and then looking up and realizing that's not her, and just screaming at her like she was trying to stuff me into the back of a car. This poor lady, she's just there. She needs to buy, I don't know, a shower curtain. Here, a child has latched onto her. She doesn't even know, and now is screaming at her like she is some kind of serial bad person.
She's done nothing other than walk into the store. I don't think I ever wandered away. I think because I don't think my mom would have gone for that. B, I was always involved in the clothes buying. Do you like this? Do you like that?
Yeah.
There was always, I was always a part of it. But I still didn't like it.
See, that's the thing.
I can definitely remember being that age, Bart's age, and just going along I don't care. I like that. I don't like that. Maybe being a little shitty about it because I was tired and bored, because that's torture. Going through shopping for clothes at Bart's age, woof.
Yeah. I never thought of that though as a single child. There was no one else. There was I would have a sibling that was literally probably shitting themselves in a shopping cart. So that's a big chance to just escape. Like, you got someone pooping their pants. What the fuck? Get a hold of yourself. I got to take care of this guy. So yeah, I'm going to go check out go walk across the street, go check out a tire shop, see how they're doing over there. You guys
I love
use
that
lifts.
smell.
I thought you guys had a pit you use, but no, you're using lifts. That's pretty cool. Way to invest.
Patch stitcher. Nice.
Yeah, man, tire shop smell is one of my top 5 favorite. Any kind of like shop smell. It's just spilt gas. I like spilt gas.
That's what we're really getting to. Is you're just a huffer at heart.
Yep.
But you never could pull the trigger and put the sock over the spray paint can.
There's a great when they show the football game. They're showing the crowd. There's like a guy in a thong with his body painted, and the announcer goes, it's like maybe the paint is clogging his pores and he's slowly suffocating to death. Such a great thing to point out.
They're like, that's a real fan, and he's clearly just miserable. Those people, I've never understood those sports fans.
Yeah, man, those are those people that like don't have talent but still want to be the center of attention.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just a cry for attention. Like I can, but there's different, like, go there in your underwear with your body painted at Soldier Field in Chicago in late December. Like that I can't get behind. But you show me some Raiders fan in Road Warrior spiked shoulder pads with face paint on. I'm like, all right, Raider fans.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
And like
I don't know why there's a difference in my mind, but there just is.
And you and I could both relate to that guy. Hey, we're both stand-up comedians. We're emotionally stunted. We also like attention, but it's like, yeah, man, write a joke. Do something. Learn how to juggle. Figure something out.
we crave attention and being the center of it so badly that we have the gall to charge people for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to have to wash off 3 gallons of grease paint to just to get some
I've never thought about that.
Affirmation.
The end of your day sounds awful.
Yeah. You've ruined the interior of your car.
It's the Monday night game. It's not going to be over till 10 o'clock. It's going to be 11:30 by the time you get home. You got to clean all that shit off and go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, you're looking at, you're getting to bed at 4 a.m. No way around that.
Yeah, you're going to scrub yourself raw to get all the Buffalo Bills paint off you.
I think that might be like a prerequisite for getting into a Buffalo Bills game, though. So that's different. Buffalo's different. Are you embarrassing your parents right now? You have to check yes.
All right, you can come in. Boy, football with no fans is going to be real weird this year. I'd imagine that's what's going to happen because nothing's changed. No one's being better or doing anything any differently. So I imagine it'll be fanless.
There is no way we're going to get through an NFL season. There's no way they're going to follow any kind of like a Seattle Seahawk player just got cut because he dressed up a booty call in baggy Seattle Seahawks gear to pretend she's a player to sneak her into the hotel.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate that level of craftsmanship. But yeah, man, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, like good job on your Bugs Bunny attempt, but there's no. What are you doing? There's no way there's a full football season. I can't imagine it. I'm shocked baseball's still going.
Yeah, it's tough to keep football going in a regular year,
right?
Let alone a year with a pandemic.
Yeah. So Marge and Bart are shopping, and there's a great bit where Bart is in the changing room trying on clothes, which I hate. I'm with Bart on. I hate trying on clothes. I'm at a point now as an adult where I just buy and then go back and return if they don't fit. But there's security cameras inside every booth, and they show the guys working security, and Bart writes like "get bent" on a piece of cardboard and holds it up to the camera, and they're like, there's a real troublemaker over here. But then the other one's like, no, we got one. And those aren't the socks that girl came in with. And they hop up and get to action, and they each grab and cock shotguns before going out of the room. That was another out loud laugh that got me. I was like, okay, yeah, why wouldn't these guys go in armed to the teeth for this 9-year-old?
Especially she's like a quiet little wallflower girl with glasses.
Lock and load, and they rush out of the security room. Like, okay, that's funny. Lisa, it turns out, is a savant when it comes to betting on sports, which I have never really done, and I think I should. I think that's my next evolutionary step, is becoming a huge sports gambling person.
It baffles me every day that I don't have a crippling sports betting addiction. Like,
yeah, how do you?
Yeah, dude, I love sports. I'm a degenerate gambler. That's the most natural fitting glove I should be slipping into. But I think with a lot of gambling, sports gambling has like a weird like knowledge of like how to do it. Like, a lot of gambling's tough to jump in without looking like an asshole. Mm-hmm. It's like, I want to bet on the Philadelphia Phillies. Well, do you want to cover this? So what about this? Like, I don't just take my money. That's what it's about. I just want to forget about my life. Just take my money. Like I think like games like craps in a casino, it's like intimidating. There's a bunch of people. There's all sorts of silly shit on the. It's like, where do I begin?
Yeah, I can't play craps. I don't have a fucking clue what's going on at a craps table.
And I am going to say this to all of our listeners, all 14 of them. Don't learn. Walk away. It's the worst thing you can do. Blackjack seems difficult. Yes, it's the worst thing ever. Don't ever learn.
See, much like you, blackjack I love. I'll sit and play blackjack all night. I don't claim to be good at it, but I do okay.
I mean, I love it, but it is killing me softly. When I start doing that math for too long, I get real sad.
I stick to a serious set of rules when it comes to blackjack. I get $50 in $5 chips, and I either triple it or lose it all. And that's it. Those are my two exits.
Marlin, you can get more chips. I don't know if they've told you that.
Yes, I'm aware that you can, but I don't. You see that I have figured something out that you've not.
No. Like, there are ATMs conveniently located near the blackjack tables. So when you get really angry, you can get $400 in chips. And see, I'll point that out to you next time we're there. It's pretty convenient if you want to ruin a weekend.
And I know it's different in different states, but like in North Dakota, almost any bar can have a blackjack table.
Yeah, which is bonkers. It's like one of two states in the nation that has that weird law.
Yeah, so we play, especially on comedy trips and stuff, we play a lot of blackjack. And there's nothing more fun than like being the first one up. If we travel with, say, 3 of us, being the first one up because you're the first one done and can go sit at the blackjack table the rest of the night.
North Dakota, you cannot open a grocery store before noon on a Sunday, but you can lose your mortgage playing blackjack at a pizza parlor. It's just funny morals we have.
Yeah, it's a strange set of rules North Dakota lives by. But there's nothing more rewarding than going on stage and bombing for 30 minutes straight and then going and winning a bunch of money at the blackjack table.
I remember doing that show with you and our friend Joe, and I went up first and ate my own shoes for half an hour. Then I went and sat at the poker table in Montana and listened as 2 of my best friends also went up on stage and for the next hour proceeded to die a slow painful death. And the poker players refused to make eye contact with me because of how unpleasant all of this was.
Out in Fairview, Montana, where they don't believe in joy. Man, did they hate us in Fairview, Montana.
Yeah, they were not a fan.
3 dozen scabby oil field workers, just upset that we were even there. So Lisa is a gambling savant. She's just picking teams and doing it with not at random, but at there's a pregame interview with a player, and she's like, "No, look at his eyes. He's a child among men. There's fear there." Like she's reading these athletes on a real in-depth personal level, and then making her predictions based on that. And Homer just starts raking it in, betting over the phone at Moe's, who has an illegal sports gambling thing going.
Of course he does.
Homer buys presents for the family with his gambling winnings, and Marge's gift is a bottle of perfume that's shaped like an Oscar award, and it's called Meryl Streep's Versatility.
Don't you want to smell like Meryl Streep?
Which, who doesn't? But I thought that was the best joke of the whole episode. I laughed very hard at Meryl Streep's versatility. The football season is wrapping up. The Super Bowl is coming up. And Sunday has become Lisa and Homer Daddy-Daughter Day. And so the following Sunday afterwards, there will be no football. So Lisa wants to go on a hike, and Homer doesn't want to do that. He wants to go bowling instead, which devastates Lisa because she, thought that they liked hanging out together. But really, he was just using Lisa to win at sports betting on the football games. And so Homer goes and watches the game at Moe's. And I looked up what was going on at the time. This is Super Bowl 26, which must have been aired by Fox because they're able to say Super Bowl and say team names. It's not the big game, which is how you always tell whether or not a TV network is the one that has the Super Bowl that year, is if they can say the phrase Super Bowl. Because if not, no idea. When you hear the big game, come on down for the big game, it's because they can't say the Super Bowl because it's a registered trademark. Stuff.
One nice touch of this episode, too, if you listen to the announcers, where's that Super Bowl played, Marlin?
The Metrodome in Minneapolis.
Goddamn right, it is the Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome. I don't know, man. I got the nostalgia feels from that because, Marlin, it was a outdated concrete shithole. But it was our outdated concrete shithole.
Did you ever go there? Did you ever see a game there?
I never saw a Vikings game. I saw a handful of Twins games, and it was not built for baseball. No matter where you sat, you were never facing the action. You were basically watching another person's reaction to a baseball game. Like, I'm staring at that lady's head.
And she seems excited, so hooray.
She's looking at a man who's looking at a man who's looking at someone in the dugout who seems really enthralled by this baseball game.
Yeah. And I did some looking, did some digging. They say Super Bowl 26 at the Metrodome between the Redskins and the Bills. And I looked it up, and that year it was Super Bowl 26 at the Metrodome with the Redskins versus the Bills. So it's all accurate.
Yeah, I remember watching that game as a kid. The Redskins embarrassed Buffalo.
Yeah, the Redskins do win the game, and that was Lisa had predicted that the Redskins would win, but that she wasn't sure if she was being spiteful or not. It basically boils down to if the Redskins win, she still loves her dad. So that's what they're watching the Super Bowl through that lens, through the entire thing. And the Redskins do win, and again, did some looking. This episode aired on January 23rd of 92. That Super Bowl, so that was a Thursday. That Super Bowl aired the 26th, 3 days later, and the Redskins won. So the Simpsons do get this future shit right.
Jesus, that's eerie.
Isn't that right? I thought the same thing.
This is the second of Buffalo's 4 Super Bowl losses. Buffalo already have such a stench of failure on them that it was just easy to guess they would lose?
Yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe I bet they wrote it both ways to cover their bases, but this aired before that. So
if you put a gun to my head and asked me to choose who my second favorite football, I'd put a gun to my head. It's an easy answer. My second favorite football team is the Buffalo Bills.
Really?
So
why is that?
These teams, these early 90s teams, I loved watching them. They had all these big talents. It was fun. I liked the looks of their uniforms. And I think I'm just attracted to heartbreaking sports franchises.
Yeah, I was about to say the hard luck.
Because between the Vikings
aspect.
and the Bills, we're 0-for-8 in Super Bowls. That's hard to do.
I like living up here, obviously, have a ton of friends who are huge Vikings fans. And I think being sad and coming up short is part of the identity. And if they ever won the big one, they wouldn't know what to fucking do with themselves.
I've always said I want to see the Vikings lose a Super Bowl. That's all I want. I know asking for a win, it's a bridge too far, man. It's not going to happen. And again, I don't know what would happen. I don't know if I'm ready for the ramifications of what a Vikings Super Bowl win would do. Like I just want to see them lose one. I want to have a special game that's just for my team and watch them get embarrassed. See, I don't even know what it would be. Would they either lose by 40 or would they somehow like get like a 12 men on the field when it's first and goal and they have it wrapped up and like they fumble a snap? It's like,
I think it's a missed field goal. I think that's how they would lose it.
Yeah, they don't have a good track record with field goals in Minnesota.
Right. Or playing in prime time. Like the odds are stacked against Minnesota winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think there's always next year is the whole identity of a Vikings fan.
And
if they lost that,
I almost think they haven't been Vikings fans long enough. Because I never think that next year, because it's never going to be the year. Something horrifying happened in the genesis of that franchise, and they are now cursed.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, how about we celebrate this brand new franchise by drinking this weird looking glass talisman full of weird blood. Shouldn't have drank
hard
that weird
luckers
blood
ever since. Yep. Shouldn't have drank that weird blood. Yep.
Turns out it was Aleister Crowley's blood. Now we're cursed.
We'll come up short every year. We'll never be awful, but we'll be just good enough to break your heart.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like they're never terrible.
Right.
They're just good enough to get your interest. Even me, I'm like, my Vikings fandom is like being in a loveless marriage for 30 years, but you're still in it. It's more routine. And every once in a while, they'll wow you on your anniversary or make an effort. Almost that callus wears off for a moment.
Yeah.
And then they half your team gets arrested for fucking on a boat in Lake Minnetonka. They have to stop the season.
Oh, I forgot about the Vikings.
Oh, the love boat incident.
Yep.
Yeah. What I don't get it, man. You're an NFL player. You can just fuck wherever. It doesn't have to be nautically themed. You don't have to just go out.
It doesn't have to be on a boat with all your friends. Like you could stay home.
You don't have to ship in prostitutes from Atlanta. Like, there's plenty of wonderful prostitutes in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I doubt that you have such a specific lane for your prostitute tastes. No, man, it's Atlanta or nothing. I can't finish if she's not from Atlanta. What? That's not a thing.
Oh, yeah, but hey, I don't want to disparage the wonderful prostitutes of Atlanta either. I'm sure you're amazing guys and gals.
We're putting up numbers in Georgia, Nathan. We are.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got to walk a fine line here. As a lifelong Saints fan, I still get assholes mad about the bounties. So like I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for Vikings fans.
See, the Saints are one of those teams is like I used to kind of like, and then they won. It's like, oh, well, they've won. They don't. That's boring. Everyone
now you're
wins.
Not interested.
Yeah, exactly. Duh, gross. Win? No, thank you.
Hey, it turns out your defense plays harder if you pay them. It's just a little motivation. You want extra 10 grand? Maybe break someone's finger. I don't know.
Did you audibly hear his brain hit the edge of his skull? I'm going to buy you a new ATV if that's the case.
Ooh, I love ATVs. All right.
We are up to our next episode, which is Homer Alone. Like a fun little play on the movie Home Alone, huh?
I was really expecting some paint can gags in this one, but that's not. They just took the name and that's it.
Yeah, they just stole that name. This episode starts with Homer chasing Bart through the house. And like it pauses on Bart as he runs and gives like the pronunciation, like the phonetic spelling, and like the almost like a kind of like a clinical scientific breakdown into what species he is.
Yeah,
then it
species
pauses,
naming.
Yep, then it pauses on Homer, which is totally a callback to like Looney Tunes. That was always like the
Roadrunner and Coyote.
Exactly. And which I thought was a nice touch. And one thing I like, and it's every cartoon you ever see. They are apparently getting ready. It's early in the morning, and Homer is chasing him wearing a undershirt and boxer shorts. Because in cartoons, or any sitcom in general, every grown man wears boxers, which I don't know what planet they were living on in the late 80s, early 90s. I did not see many grown men in a state of undress, but the ones I did, they were wearing tighty whities, Marlin.
Yeah. Old men wore tighty whities.
Everyone's dad wore tighty whities. They still wear tighty whities. No one's wearing polka dot boxer shorts.
Yeah. Nope. That was a thing that was only on television.
These are men that mean business, and they can't have all that extra fabric gumming up the works. And
I don't like either of those things. I don't like tighty whities or boxer shorts for exact opposite problems. You know, the tighty whities, it's too much. I don't need my garbage like held up in a fist. And have you worn them as an adult? No. I've often thought maybe it's just that we haven't embraced it yet. Maybe it's something you come back to as you approach middle age. You like the comfort of the... It's something you grow into in old age, maybe, like the History Channel and bourbon. Yeah, exactly. If it's time to go buy yourself some little tiny underpants. I don't know about that. I'm here. Just you on the town, maybe get a coffee, maybe go see an afternoon movie at the Fargo Theater, then go shop for some daddy panties. Get yourself some little tiny undies. I typed daddy panties and put the little TM logo because I need to get that to be a thing. Oh, God. Get yourself some little daddy panties. Daddy panties. Ooh, look at me. Yeah. I don't like that at all. I'm also not a boxers guy and never have been. It's the opposite problem. It's too loose. It's chaos. If it's comfortable fabric, I don't mind it. No, I can't do it. There's something about they're bulky under your pants. I don't like. There's something about why they've made the curious decision to make men's underwear out of the most unflattering and uncomfortable fabrics for decades now. Like, what I don't want near my butthole? White cotton. and yet, it's been the staple of men's underwear for decades. Someday they are going to dig up like our civilization, and they are going to come to an assumption that every man on the planet had dysentery. Just by looking at they were very ill. Oh, these were sick men. They shit their pants. They all got the scours. They needed a vet. They needed someone they got a bad case of the scours. That is a reference you only get growing up rural. Yeah. You think a kid living in Brooklyn right now had their dad made a cute comment about someone being sick with the scours? Marlin, you have a better knowledge of animal husbandry than I do. Could you give us a quick breakdown as to what the scours actually are? Oh, the scours are I don't know that it goes outside of the species, but I know it from cattle growing up how I did. The scours are a digestive issue that calves will get where they just shit liquid neon yellow. Essentially just bovine diarrhea. Oh, man, that's a death metal band that needs to be made. Man.
I just bought that split 7-inch with cattle decapitation and bovine diarrhea. Man, it slaps.
It's just brutal.
As I bet I don't ever want to shit neon colors.
Yeah,
maybe I'm a prude. Maybe I'm just boring. But you know what? I like my dull, neutral tones in my shit.
Yeah, I like to keep it pretty mellow. Some nature
maybe every
tones.
once in a while you get a black one. Let you know, hey, lay off the whiskey. That's not what it's those friendly reminders. Hey,
yeah. If there's a color I don't want my shit to be, it is bright Arctic cat green, like it's on a fucking jacket.
If it looks like you've been eating pens, lay off the whiskey.
If it's the shade of chartreuse that would make a good bass lure, I'm not into it.
Oh man. So this episode this is a very Marge. Well, not really. I guess it's more the family too, because early on it's all Marge centric. The kids and Homer, as we already know, rely on her for every facet of their existence.
Yeah.
And they pile all these different things on her. They have to get a bowling ball fixed. They got to do this. They got to do that. And everything just goes wrong for Marge that day. And the stress is too much. And she has a nervous breakdown. I would say that'd be a good word for that. She parks the Simpson station wagon, cattywampus in the middle of a bridge road. And no cars can pass, and and then they get Homer down there to see if he can get her to leave this. She's almost like catatonic. She's just frozen.
She's having a full-on mental breakdown.
Yeah,
which it's understandable because they go through her morning and it's a nightmare.
It's everything. Yeah.
Waiting
it's a
on
lot
the
of
kids.
Stress if it goes right and nothing goes right.
Yeah, it's just has a bad day, has a Michael Douglas falling down bad day.
Yeah.
And there's when they are showing the traffic copter above the bridge where she's blocked off both lanes of traffic. There's a great bit where the traffic copter guy is like, yeah, it's on such and such a bridge. And he's got that voice, that newsman out in the field voice. And he goes, oh, and also watch out on the corner of 14th and Elm because I just dropped my bagel. And they show the bagel fall out of the helicopter.
Another nice touch is once it's become a big news story, Kent Brockman is now on the helicopter.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is not just a road report. And the guy's like, hey. And he's like, Kent looks up, it's true.
Yep.
And they have like the Channel 9 news harness so he straps into.
They lower Kent Brockman down. He's just banging his helmeted head on the side of the bridge.
With a head of hair like that, do you really need a helmet?
No, I think there's enough product in that to keep you safe.
Yeah, I think he wasn't getting too CTE'd.
He's fine.
He is definitely fine. And they realize, holy shit, Marge has got too much on her plate. She's had enough. And she kind of says it like that. And Homer's like, oh my God, you're leaving me. She's like, no. I mean, I've had enough for this week. Like I need a break. So she decides
and she has to explain the concept of she wants a vacation by herself because he's like, well, that won't help because the 3 screaming kids and I'm no better. She's like, no, I need a vacation, me.
And what's decided is Homer is going to stay home and watch Maggie while Bart and Lisa have to go spend the week with Patty and Selma, their aunts.
Which they are not thrilled about.
Yeah, which leads to some great laughs. That's what it was like being a kid. Aunts there's a full spectrum of aunts. Some aunts were rad. They let you do cool shit. They were fun. Other aunts were depressing, and they lived Patty and Selma-like existences. So it's a real coin flip to which aunt you got to hang out with.
Yeah.
One thing I like when they're digging through the house or digging through Patty and Selma's place, and Bart finds that gigantic bra. Because as we had pointed out, both Patty and Selma, they come equipped.
Yeah,
big old titties.
Just a mile of cleave.
Yeah, the foot-long sub-sandwich of cleavage.
Lose your dog in that cleave.
Which Barney is smitten by, but they are not buying what Barney's selling.
Nope,
which is probably cirrhosis of the liver, so I can't blame them. There's a great ad on the radio when Marge is all stuck in her car. I forgot about this. It's Shakespeare's fried chicken. Come order some today. Which I would love to be able to enjoy a Shakespeare-themed fried chicken restaurant.
Yep. Just the menu alone would be good. Much ado about coleslaw.
Yeah. Taming of the au jus. That took me a little bit. We're gonna give ourselves aneurysms trying to think of Shakespeare food puns on the fly.
Macbeth and cheese.
Oh man, I can't. I'm done. I'm not gonna fall down this well. My head already hurts. I'm getting a tension headache.
King Lear root beer.
Yeah, I was trying to think of Richard the something. No food rhymes with third.
Nothing rhymes with chicken.
Oh, the Merchant of Venice. Nothing.
Glazed Hamlet. I can't keep doing this. These aren't even good anymore. Should have stopped at the first one.
Romeo and Julian hash browns. I can't quit, Marlin.
We're in it now, Nathan. Oh, Christ.
Oh, it's the worst. So back to The Simpsons. Oh my God, the beckoning life raft that is The Simpsons. God bless Matt Groening. Thank you. Beautiful man, Matt Groening, for giving us The Simpsons.
Got us out of this rapidly drying up well of comedy. Oh, shit.
Oh, okay. So The Simpsons is a TV show. So this episode, it splits between Lisa and Bart having a miserable time at their aunt's and Homer having a miserable time trying to be a parent to a baby. Mm. And then we do cut to Marge, relaxing in the mud baths and stuff like that. But eventually Maggie goes looking for one of the very few Maggie-centric episodes at times.
Yeah.
So, it's her kind of reliving the steps they took that day. Like, Maggie somehow crawls all the way to the mall and looks at the stores they were at and goes around town, does this and that. It's kind of fun.
There's a lot of really sweet moments of her seeing what looks like her mom's weird tall hair, but then going around the corner and it's just a shrub and her looking sad.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of that in that episode. Which again, is it's adorable every time.
Yeah, anything that features Maggie is going to be pretty damn adorable usually, which I think is a nice touch to a show that can be kind of cynical at times.
Yeah.
I don't know, again, didn't have siblings, so you don't know this, but there is nothing more off-putting or terrifying than a kid getting out of a crib that isn't supposed to be able to get out of a crib. I remember being, I'm 5 or 6 years old, my Aunt Lynette's babysitting, probably having a good old time, My brother is asleep in his crib. I go up to get a drink of water at 9 o'clock. It seemed like 4 a.m, but I was also sick. So it's probably more like 9 o'clock at night.
Right.
And in the dark shadows of our trailer house, the hallway, I see a toddler just slowly coming towards me. That's terrifying. That's not what you want.
Yeah, kids are scary. Kids in the dark are way scarier.
Yeah, it's that is either my brother or some kind of demon.
There've been enough horror movies where a child is the antagonist that if I were a parent and woke up to a small child standing in my doorway, I'd be terrified.
You know what you don't want to hear as you're going to sleep? Barefoot toddler feet slapping on linoleum. That's not what you want. I do not have a toddler, so that is concerning to me.
Yep.
So that's basically that. That's pretty much the guts of this episode. Is you get a lot of laughs at at Patty and Selma's because they are not meant to be raising kids. And Homer also not meant to be raising kids, which is unfortunate because he has 3 of them. And then eventually Marge makes it back. Marge makes it everything better because that's what Marge does. And yeah, the Simpsons live on to see another day.
Yeah, pretty straightforward episode. I like that Marge. I love that every time we cut back to Marge, she's having the best time.
Yep.
You know,
there
once she's
nice,
at the spa.
She's like on the phone with like room service, and she gets like 2 different, like a sundae at some other kind of dessert and a bottle of tequila.
Yep.
It's like, that's a hell of a gal's night in, just laying in the tub, eating rapidly melting ice cream because you're in a bathtub and a bottle of tequila. That's how rock stars die. You should drink that much tequila in the tub. That's
a very Vince Neil move. I applauded it though. As soon as she said it, I was like, hell yeah. Yeah, girl, you get it. In my late age now have really come around on tequila, by the way. Turns out it's real good.
It's still sadness juice for me. It's never a good thing. Marlin, A Midsummer's Night's Creamsicle.
Damn it.
We're back in, baby.
God, son of a bitch, Nathan.
Denver Hamlet.
Why would that be at a chicken restaurant?
They have to expand. They have breakfast options, Marlin. Oh, please get to the next episode, Marlin. We need to move on.
I'm pulling the ripcord on these Shakespeare chicken puns. Fuck. I can't even be mad. I started this shit.
Yeah.
Much ado about cornbread or whatever the fuck dumb thing I said earlier.
Dumplings. That'd be a good one.
Yeah, dumplings. Oh, God. Okay, episode 15, Bart the Lover, the latest in the Bart the Noun series. We start off with all the students watching a newsreel about how great zinc is, which is maybe one of my favorite non sequitur starters that they've done so far.
A world without zinc.
It's so specific.
Yeah.
And it's like from the 50s, and we've said before, I love this like 50s newsreel aesthetic. Yep. So into it. But yeah, it's just a newsreel about zinc. And then we go we kind of follow Mrs. Krabappel a lot through this episode, which
I am all about.
Yeah.
And one thing I like about when in our society's history have we ever questioned the need for zinc? Because this seems like a reactionary video. Like,
that's not a film that gets made if someone isn't coming after zinc.
Is there some strong anti-zinc legislation going through Washington, D.C. in the 50s that we should be aware of?
They're trying to get rid of all the zinc. We needed it for the pennies. I don't know.
The beauty of this, though, just like growing up, man, it did not matter the content of a video. It always made your day when you were in school, when you saw that cart with the giant tube TV get wheeled in. Like, I don't give a shit. They could be showing the execution of my loved ones on that TV, but if it means the lights are dimmed and we ain't got to do shit, I'm all for it.
Yep. Did you ever have a movie day in class that was like, how do I put this? That was clearly a stretch on the teacher's behalf as far as, are you age appropriate for the content?
What we did when I was like mid high school, our history teacher, he was the football coach. They needed to put something on his tax form, so he was a history teacher. One year we watched The Last of the Mohicans terrific movie. It's fictional. It's not a real thing.
No, not a real thing.
We pressed him on it. It's just his favorite movie. And I remember kind of questioning it. And finally, it's like, hey, man, how about we just watch the movie and shut the fuck up? Do you want him to teach more? Is that what you're hankering?
Is that what you're... Yeah, shut up and watch Daniel Day-Lewis.
And we had a couple kids that were sick. So, and I'm not shitting you, we just started it over and watched it again. It was so
Holy
great.
Shit.
It's a pretty long movie, so it was mission accomplished.
It takes a few days of watching.
And in grade school, like 4th, 5th, 6th grade, we had a thing where if you didn't get in trouble, you got to watch a movie at the end of the month. And depending how much you got in trouble, you had to miss that portion of the movie. And one time, someone made the decision that we would watch the original Bad News Bears. And they hadn't taken a look at that, apparently, since they were children. They were not prepared for the subject matter. There are several hard N-words in that, multiple, to the point that a teacher in rural North Dakota in the early 90s thought this was too racist for children to see. You know what level something? I remember she jumped in front of the TV and spread her arms out, shielding us.
She was shielding you from a bullet.
She's secret servicing us from a drunk Walter Matthau. And there were a lot of apologies and just it was really something. But you had that joy that you have as a child when there's chaos. It's like, oh, awesome. Our lives are so regimented. I love when shit goes off the rails.
Yep, I love when a wrench gets thrown into shit. Yeah. I can't believe that The Last of Mohicans was your example, because that's my example also.
What's going on?
There's just something among rural history teachers, apparently, that they think that's a film to show kids. And it's a great movie, but
Michael Mann, baby.
We were, I'm going to say 14 when Mr. Wang showed us that thing. And I don't know when the last time you saw that movie was, but there's a scene where a man cuts out another man's heart while he's alive and eats it.
Which is very metal, so good on them.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, whatever. The 8 14-year-old girls in our class and a couple of the guys were not super into that scene. Why are we watching again? Like you said, it's not a documentary. But we were it fell in the same period of time we were covering. So he's like, yeah, fuck it, Last of the Mohicans.
It's based off a novel that someone wrote. That guy was real, so it's history.
This is the same history teacher, though, who every Friday would there was essentially no class on Friday as long as you were playing Risk or chess. That's all he cared about. So every Friday in U.S. history, if you were playing Risk or playing chess, we didn't have to have class. So we would all just sit around playing one of those two things.
I love stuff like that.
But we follow Mrs. Krabappel being pretty sad and lonely, and she's starts putting out personal ads looking for a man, which bums me out. I don't like seeing Mrs. Krabappel sad. We like Mrs. Krabappel on this show.
Mrs. Krabappel fans.
Yeah. So
because you want a woman like her to succeed in life in all aspects, professionally and personally, because she lives by her own rules, Marlin. She stays out late, out real late. She likes to dress like she's in a 2 Live Crew music video. Very cool. She fucks sushi chefs on their cigarette breaks. Also, very cool.
She's a liberated free spirit who
lives by her own goddamn rules.
We will always celebrate. Yep, Springfield wasn't ready for Mrs. Krabappel.
She was a star in a city full of squares.
We go back to the school where they're having a lyceum, where the Yo-Yo Twirl Kings are on stage doing all manner of yo-yo tricks. There's ones with the one lady has yo-yos on her ears. There's one who spits the yo-yo out of his mouth, and the kids are enthralled. with the yo-yos. And it's funny because the kids are all like, oh God, they must be the biggest stars ever. And they're like getting autographs and shit. Yeah. And then at the end of the day, they just cram them into the back of the cargo van and head off to the next school.
And that van is where those people sleep. There's no hotel.
For sure.
That was a good night for them is a janitor taking mercy on them and let them sleep in the boiler room at the school, and they leave early in the morning.
Yeah, much like the rolling cart with the television and VCR on it, a Lyceum was always a welcome break from school.
So great. We didn't have a lot, but they were always, maybe that's why you didn't get a whole lot of them. So it was real nice when they'd come around. Like,
it was always rare. I feel like 3 a year was about what we'd get.
We had a bonkers one. I'm pretty sure it was a clerical error where this guy must normally talk to troubled teens. Like, it was like this white collar criminal guy who'd been in prison for like 8 years. And he came to tell us what prison was like. It was off he used the phrase keystering as a verb at least 15 times. And he just went into, and like, it wasn't like if you keep acting the way you act, you're going to be me. It was like he was talking to one of his old high school buddies about what prison was like. And he just was, he was laid out the facts. Like, a man like me, he's dead meat in prison. These guys looking at me, they're licking their lips. So what are you licking your lips? Why would that be? My nuts haven't dropped. I don't know what any of this is about.
I'm 11.
And he explains too that I'm not a tough guy. I was in there for tax fraud. His weapon of choice when shit would get real, he had a can full of acid, and he'd swing it over his head with a string, and it would just send acid spraying everywhere so no one would come near him and assault him.
Jesus Christ.
So he's like, yeah, everyone else are stabbing each other with homemade knives and shivs, but I would just stand in the corner and spin my acid. No one would want to mess with me. It's like, this isn't even like... What are we learning from this?
Yeah, what is the educational value here?
Yeah, and explaining like the black market of trading goods. That's where the keystering came in. Is he had a friend that would sneak him things, and he would keyster it, get it past the guards, and unkeyster it, if that's the proper terminology, and sell. Yeah, he's selling Snickers bars that had been heated by his lower digestive tract to serial murderers.
Yeah, a nice butt-warmed Snickers bar.
When he said, thanks, have a good day, there was 20 minutes of silence. You could hear your own heartbeat. We were all so blown away by this guy.
Any questions? No.
It's in my head, getting back to basketball, when I picture that man, I picture former Portland Trailblazers head coach P.J. Carlissimo. He was like a short, bearded, fast-talking New Yorker. That's all I remember about the guy.
We never had any fun Lyceums now that I'm thinking about it.
I do remember, too, that we were supposed to have like a Christian juggler or something like that. And as we were walking in, he was loading up his van and leaving because he'd already been terrorized so much by some of the other children.
Holy shit. You fucking hooligans.
Yeah. He was not impressed with us. Didn't even unload all of his shit. Nope, I'm done. I am done. Holy guacamole, did we hear about that? Our teachers were not, and it was just 2 kids. I'll have to save them. I will not name their names, but if you're from Botno, you have a good guess who those kids were. They were naughty boys.
We never had anything fun like these yo-yo twirlers on The Simpsons, and we never had anyone explaining how to smuggle candy in your butthole. But I felt like all of our Lyceums were like the importance of seatbelts, where they just show you footage and photos from crashes. Where it's
should have like a ministry song in the background.
Right. They all look like a Cannibal Corpse album cover. Yeah. But it's like, here's, this person from the highway patrol is going to talk to you about the importance of wearing a helmet when you're riding a motorcycle for the next hour and a half. And she's going to show you the most horrifying images you've ever seen in your young life.
Casually throws a human foot at the front of the stage. Like, I found this last night. That kid thought it's cool to ride dirt bikes.
Yeah. You want to ride dirt bikes? Do dirt bikes seem cool now? But that's the thing. It would have been cooler if they'd have had some manner of scared straight attitude about it, but it was just clinical facts. Just like, here's some percentages and pictures of brains on this poster board. That's what I got.
Do what you will with this knowledge we have bestowed upon you.
Yeah.
We're not telling you not to. We're just giving you the facts. I might be getting the memory mixed up in my head. It might have been like a church lock-in, which is something we do in the upper Midwest. Just get a bunch of sweaty teens together in a church overnight, boys and girls. What could go wrong? But I remember being talked to by a way too happy. That's what I'm thinking. It was a church lock-in, and the whole subject of it was intolerance. And he got talking about like racist terms. And this fucking dope had the bright idea of like, hey, I want you guys to think about it. Think how many awful words we have. It's like, let me hear all the racist terms that you know.
Oh no!
It was 45 minutes of the most vile, racist epitaphs being shouted by children with a look of glee on, because they would remember one that they heard from their uncle 2 summers ago. Oh, I got a new one. Like,
God. Why would you do that? Why would you write all those children that blank check?
Yeah. And then finally someone realized, oh, he means all races. So it was pretty much till morning. People coming up to him and think, oh, here's another one that we say about the Belgians in our household.
Thanks, the church. Glad we all got that.
I'm glad all the juvenile delinquents have reloaded their racist ammo box now.
Yeah, I'm glad you set up that thought share experiment for everyone,
so they can make the one not white family in our community feel extra terrible. Good job, church.
They all came with one ingredient, and now they have this racist potpourri they can take home with them. Thanks, the church. So we never had like the yo-yo twirl kings come around, but weirdly enough, my I'm going to say junior year, but it might be senior, yo-yos were popular in my high school to a point they had to be outlawed.
That is so wonderful.
Everyone had a yo-yo in their pocket at all times, to the point where we were like going to Shields, which is a sporting goods store if you're not from around here, and buying expensive yo-yos with like mechanical clutches in them that you had to oil every so often.
That's great.
Like, we were super into yo-yos for, it felt like all that year, but it was probably 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Where everyone had to have a yo-yo, and then they got banned, and if you were caught with a yo-yo, you were in trouble. So we were all keystering our yo-yos, which is real hard. No.
We had a similar instance where someone came to our school and described the joys of stamp collecting. And for a hot 2-month time, you were like, collecting stamps was the cool thing to do.
Really?
To the point you would be bullied if you didn't collect stamps. It's like a Twilight Zone year we had that year.
That is the most photo-negative thing I've ever heard.
I mean, you don't collect stamps, pussy?
What? You ain't got any stamps, loser? Huh? As you're just pushing this kid around.
Yeah.
Huh? You ain't got any stamps?
Which, hey, man, I collected stamps. I'm like, hell yeah.
Look at that little pussy. That little pussy doesn't even have any stamps. Hey, why don't you go get some stamps? Why do we have this accent?
Am I doing it right, guys? I'm not good at being mean. I'm just on the other end of this.
How do I get the glue to let go so I can put it in my book? I don't know. So Bart's twirling his yo-yo around in class and breaks the aquarium, which gets him an entire month worth of detention. So he's going to be spending a lot of time with Mrs. Krabappel. And he finds, while she's away from her desk, he finds her personal ad and starts writing letters to her as a fictional man who is interested in her. Woodrow, yes. Yeah. He looks up at the list of presidents and picks Woodrow, which I've never thought of before this. Pretty solid name. That's a good name. Why don't we have more Woodrows?
Right. Well, you are a childbearing man, or age where you can give women. You're not bearing
childbearing.
Yeah, you're full of seed. Let's put it that way.
That's not gush. Better. I like childbearing better. Can we go back to childbearing?
Bro, you're one gush away from having Woodrow Wells. Woody Wells. Holy shit. We need a Woody Wells.
Sounds like a 1930s blues musician. Woody Wells sounds like somebody Elvis stole all his stuff from.
Your opening byline on Tinder needs to be, our first child will be named Woodrow, period, end. I don't care what gender, it's going to be Woodrow, or don't bother responding to me.
Yeah, that'll really fire up my Tinder profile. That'll really get things. That'll really kickstart things over on this end.
Woody Wells, holy shit, that'd be so great. Also, on that subject,
sounds like a Mario enemy.
Yeah, he like shoots acorns out at you or something. Yeah,
the Goomba, the Shy Guy, the Woody Wells.
And during the back and forth between the letters between Mrs. Krabappel and Woodrow, they get more, sensual.
They get steamy.
One of the most, because they made the last letter before they finally have to meet in person, Bart ends it with "sexually yours, Woody." Such an amazing way to end a letter. And he also mentions that he wants to smooch up a storm, which I love, because I'm a big fan of the word smooch. I'm all about giving smooches, Marlin. I'm not going to apologize for it.
Nor should you. I'm
a smooching man.
Much like Mrs. Krabappel, we admire you for your free spirit.
I appreciate that.
While this is going on, the B plot in this episode is Homer is trying to build a doghouse for the dog, and he, not to blow your mind or anything, but Homer's bad at it. He's bad at something. And the whole time he's trying to build this doghouse, he's like cursing and yelling like an angry dad does. And Rod and Todd, the two Flanders boys on the other side of the fence, are hearing and absorbing Homer's potty mouth. And I believe it's Todd who gets in trouble at the dinner table, having picked up the foul language from Homer. When Ned tells him to eat his vegetables, Todd just looks back at him and says, "Hell no, I don't want any damn vegetables." And Ned is flabbergasted.
He does not know.
Like, Todd may as well have shat on the table for how shocked he is that, and I love that, like, that's considered such oh my god language. Damn and hell are the two words that are like, oh god, I can't believe. It's not like he said cunt, like there are degrees of swear words. But so Todd gets in trouble, and Flanders is trying to figure out where he picked this up from, and they show him watching Todd as Todd is watching television, watching some wholesome program, and he's like, "Well, it's not from TV," and he's crossing things off on his list of where Todd might have.
Grandma is on the list.
Yep, grandma. Comic books are on the list. Yeah. Like, so he's trying to get to the bottom of where he heard that. And he eventually figures out that it's Homer because he overhears Homer cursing at this doghouse that he can't put together. So Ned goes over and is like, "Hey, can you maybe tone it down?" And Ned says the phrase that we love so much. Ned says, "We've all pulled a few boners," which I laughed again. Call back to episode 2 of this podcast. The phrase "pull a few boners" rears its ugly boner head again.
Yeah, and also going off half-cocked.
Yep. Yeah, he does lay out a string of them where you're like, with everyone. And Ned says if Homer not kind of tones down on the sailor talk, that Ned will shave his mustache, which he does, and immediately becomes successful. He's approached about a spot in a television ad or something.
Yeah. The way these checks come in, it feels criminal.
And meanwhile, at the Simpson house, they set up a swear jar for hoping to teach Homer his lesson.
There's one thing I wanted to comment on before I got too far in. I completely should have mentioned it earlier, but when Bart takes a look at Mrs. Krabappel's personal ad, did you notice the age range she's going for?
Yes, I did.
18 to 60.
Yeah, she's
18, man. She is a dirty dog, and I am into it. That is bonkers. She is a teen. She's like the R. Kelly of Springfield Elementary. That's like there are 18-year-olds in this school right now. You shouldn't date them.
Yeah, because she's in her early 40s or mid 40s. I love that is her window, 18 to 60.
She's in the teacher's lounge slowly eating a peach. The fresher the fruit, the sweeter the juice. Am I right? It's like a semicircle of people avoiding her.
No one will look at her.
Oh, man.
They'll just walk away with their heads down. Just, morning, Edna.
And I love Bart quick on thinking on his feet, because she sent him a pic, so he needed to send her a pic.
A saucy photo of her in lingerie, which Bart's response is, "Ooh, you're going to meet Mr. Xerox Machine," and then that's never touched on again in the episode. Yeah. I thought that was where we were going to go with it, and
I love too that. And quick on he just rips out a picture of Gordie Howe out of a hockey magazine.
Yep.
Love to see Gordie Howe get some love. Gordie Howe, who played in, I think, 5 different decades in the NHL, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Wow.
Do the math on that. He's in his early 50s playing professional hockey.
Jesus. Hockey, of all things.
Yeah, freak of nature, yeah.
It's not like he was a punter or a kicker on a football team.
He had middle-aged sons as his they were at the ends of their career, and he was still playing.
He was probably a grandpa.
I believe a Gordie Howe hat trick is a goal, an assist, and a fight started. It's like an unofficial thing. That's a Gordie Howe hat trick. Because, he wasn't some prima donna. He would get down there and he dropped gloves, and he's a scrapper too. He's a man of all seasons, that Gordie Howe.
I don't know shit about hockey, so this was one of those where I was just like when Bart opened up the magazine, cut out that photo, I was like, I bet that's a real guy. And I bet some hockey nerd is really loving this. So Bart continues this back and forth with Edna and Woodrow.
Yeah.
And eventually sets up a date with her and then goes there and looks through the window and at first is celebratory of he doesn't exist. She's going to be sad. And then
he goes to a movie.
Yeah, because he's a little piece of shit. And then, goes to a movie next door.
He goes to see Ernest Needs a Kidney, which I thought was a nice touch.
It's a good dunk on Ernest movies. Yeah. And then, when he comes back out, she's just distraught and dismayed because Woodrow never showed up because Woodrow doesn't exist.
How insane is it that we're simpler of a time when there were 5 Ernest movies that were big enough that they got wide theatrical. Bring a 12-year-old to an Ernest movie now, they will be asleep within 7 minutes. That would be they're at home watching twerk videos on TikTok. They want to watch Ernest get his foot trapped in a pickle jar for 90 minutes or whatever the premise is. Screaming for Vern, who's never going to come help him because he's made up. He's an Ernest's sick imagination.
I've never seen an Ernest movie, but when I was a kid, and I don't know how we came by it, but I had a VHS tape, and it wasn't a blank one that was taped. It was purchased from the store, had a legit dust cover and everything, and it was, I'm going to say 60 minutes, a compilation of Ernest commercials.
That's great. Because that's where Ernest started as, yeah.
Yeah, he was a huge spokesman for all these products like Lay's and you know, the potato chips and this brand of, I don't know, car battery or like, and that's apparently where he started, which I didn't know. But I've never seen a movie, but I bet I've seen every one of his commercials.
When I was 19 or 20, I was living in Nashville, and he passed away kind of tragically young. Like, I think he was a heavy smoker and he got cancer, but he was like revered in Nashville because he was he's like a Shakespearean trained actor, and he was huge in the local art scene. Yeah, it's just this amazing, Renaissance man, but. What do we know him from? Launching toilets and Ernest Goes to Camp. Yeah.
And I don't even know, again, not having seen the movies, but knowing who the character is. What is that character supposed to even be? Is he just like a dopey neighbor or a dim-witted handyman is how I always kind of thought of him?
Because he always, for an everyman, he gets into the most... Well, he unleashes unwittingly a demon that is going to destroy the planet, and Ernest scared stupid. And they have to give some kind of incantation to trap this demon. Then he is responsible for Santa's life or death in Ernest Saves Christmas. And then there's he gets the power of Electro from Spider-Man, and Ernest Goes to Jail and has a split personality that's half criminal mastermind. So it's man, it's a trip.
Yeah, I would love a deep dive in. Maybe that's the next podcast.
Many layers to the Ernest onion.
Yep, let's find a psychologist who wants to talk Ernest with us, and that'll be the next podcast.
One thing I like too, when Bart is in class in detention, he knows because he's the reason it's not going well. That hey, Mrs. Krabappel, there's more people out there. Why don't you date someone in the school? And she gives a rundown on the sordid habits of all the bachelors at Springfield Elementary.
Yeah, because I think he brings up why not Principal Skinner, and I forget what she. She takes a dig at his
won't
mom.
Let him out to play.
Yep. And then I think he says, "Well, what about Coach so and so?" And she's just pantomimes glug 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 glug, and just pantomimes drinking problem.
Yeah. Or Groundskeeper Willy, she's like, "Huh. You don't even want to know what that guy's into," which warms my heart.
Yep, probably true.
Groundskeeper Willy is a freak. God bless him for it.
But we also know that he's got a rockin' hard bod. We know that after that Stuck in a Well episode. So, but so Bart sees that she's dismayed at this date that didn't happen, which, by the way, this whole scenario reminded me of your scenario of your fucking psychopath friend who would set up dates with old ladies and then watch them get ready. From an earlier episode, I had flashbacks to that.
Both equally alarming, yeah.
But yeah, so Bart kind of gives the, well, there's plenty of fish in the sea, and then he comes home and comes clean to his folks because he sees that he made this woman very sad, and they kind of pool their brains together and write a letter from Woodrow that would let her down easy and make it all okay, and it works, and we're done.
Yeah. They give a nice touch. They all work together to make a letter that'll let her down easy and still make her feel good about herself. So
yeah, they get together as a family and lie to a woman. I was like, this is a weird episode.
Weird bonding moment.
Yeah, this one. Valentine's Day did not fall on the night they aired, but this one aired February 13th of 92.
We've been talking about those jokes at the end of episodes. I died when they just paused the screen and for like 3 seconds put up Gordie Howe's career stats.
That's right.
So great. And then just let the credits roll. That was such a great touch. Like this was, dude, like, I don't know if it's my favorite episode, but it's top 3. I loved this episode,
really?
Man.
I
don't know what it was,
but I wasn't head over heels.
And I think a thing I like about just like this show in general, we're probably going to see is like, I love the fact that we got a Krabappel-centric episode like that, because that's like the beauty of animation. Like, you don't have to like assuage the egos of like real life, flesh and blood TV stars. Like, do you think like Roseanne would have let them have, like multiple episodes about irrelevant characters that barely feature her? Nah, she's Roseanne. Right. Her name's on the title. Like, no, I'm going to be featured heavily. But with a show like this, let her buck,
there's not an Everyone Loves Raymond episode that's all about Brad Garrett,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, but we're seeing that. Like, they can do that on this show, and that's why probably half of like why this show has such an enduring appeal is like you get to know all this whole community of characters. Like,
yeah, I bet if I flipped through the 50 that we've seen so far, I bet all of my favorites are side character heavy, Yeah. So I get it. I love that they're able to do that. Yeah, this is a great episode, a great batch all around. I love the Radio Bart episode of the Stuck in the Well thing. I think that was a fantastic one. The football betting one, the whole batch, very good.
Yeah, I want you to fire up your Wikipedia and read about baby Jessica and the phenomenon of children falling in wells.
I need to find out what the fuck was going on with these wells. Apparently,
it was like a feat of engineering to save her because the well was so decrepit they couldn't go down it because it was collapsing. So they had to like drill, and they couldn't dig around it because. Yeah, like any kind of pressure could cause the whole thing to collapse on her. So they had to dig like 20 feet away, down into the ground like 30 feet, and then burrow across and hope that they were at the right depth to dig through and pull her out.
Crazy.
So it was like fracking, but for children.
The phrase fracking, but for children sounds like it's fracking, but we employ children to do it.
Their little hands fit everywhere.
They get all the coal with them.
Get all that sweet, sweet coal. I hope a guy was inches away from saving a starving 2-year-old thought, wait a second, we could do this for petroleum. He's like stroking his chin and thinking while a child reaches out. Hold on, I'm thinking.
That's a Mr. Burns move.
Got some buddies at Exxon that'd love to hear about this. We did it, Marlin. 5 more eps.
Yeah, that is 50. We got 50 under the belt. Can you believe we hit it?
Thanks for coming along and listening, everybody.
Yeah, and it's we're almost done. We're almost wrapped up.
Only 750 episodes left.
I'm not to be clear, I'm not dreading it at all. I'm very excited to keep doing this.
I'm going to continue to come along on this fantastic voyage.
But just know every so often I do go, fuck me, there's a lot of episodes of this show. It's going to be a fun thing. Going to last us a long time. So next week we will do episodes 16 through 20. Thank you again to, as we mentioned at the top, Chase Rader for doing our theme, which we love.
Love you, Chase.
Thank you to Bo Outlaw for reaching out.
Making my week, if not summer. Daryl Armstrong, get in on this. You want to be a part of the America's Barley Basket flagship.
Jump on it. I knew as soon as I saw that notification that simply said, Bo Outlaw liked your tweet. I was like, I'm about to make Nate's day.
And mission accomplished, friend.
Season 3, episodes 16 through 20. It will be next week's show. Everyone enjoy your week.
How would any NBA players contact us if they so desired
yes. Sorry about the, I am forgetful today.
And even if you don't play basketball professionally, let us know what you think of the show.
I believe I forgot this last week too, but please reach out. We love interaction. You can find us on Twitter at BarleyBasketUSA. You can find us via email, barleybasketUSA@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening, everybody.